Let's welcome Chris Archer!
Thank you very much, very kind. Hello, good morning. Still, just no, good afternoon, everybody. What is it? 10 to 1? We'll agree to disagree. So thank you very much. Just a couple of questions before I get started. Has anybody heard of Amazon?
Yes.
Does anybody spend more of their money on Amazon than anything else?
No.
I think the Amazon delivery driver is at my house more than I am, thanks to my wife, which is, maybe that's questionable actually. Maybe I should ask questions about that. The reason I'm mentioning Amazon is to talk about Jeff Bezos. Who's heard of Blockbuster Video? Bit of a who now, but at one point Blockbuster Video had the market on movies. Yeah? The reason I'm talking to you about these companies and these people is because what they realised is at one point in their journey, in their growth, what got them to a point isn't going to get them to the next level. Can anybody relate to that? Jeff Bezos started Amazon as an online book retailer. That was never going to be the global brand that it is today. He had to get new ideas, new thoughts, new practices and new systems to take him to where he is today. And I mentioned Blockbuster Video because they fell foul of this. The way that the world watched movies changed, and they carried on trying to rent DVDs to people that just didn't want them. So sometimes that new way of thinking is what's required to get us to the next level. Just before we go too far, a little bit about me. Left school at 16, no real plan. I just knew that I could work hard, which today, most 16-year-olds will tell us that that's a thing of the past. I'm a dad to two beautiful daughters and a husband to a very forgiving wife who's kind of shooed me off down here even though it's their birthday weekend so I can speak to you all. I'm a rugby player and I'm a human, and we're going to talk about being a human a bit as well as the systems of running a business during the course of the next 20 minutes or so. Spent the last 10 years running, growing, building businesses. And I'm going to tell you just the headline here. So throughout the whole journey of running businesses, the thing that I've developed the biggest passion for is not the doing, it's not the product, it's how a business actually runs, what its makeup is, what is the DNA of a successful business. And I'm incredibly passionate about exploring that. And more recently, I now focus on helping small business owners, SME entrepreneurs, to build systems and processes that take them to their next round of growth. What I'm going to just do is I'm going to explore how business growth is almost a direct reflection of you as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, and what happens as the pressure of growing and running a business impacts both you and the organisation itself. For anybody that's taking notes, I'm going to ask you to write something down in a minute, so just make sure you got your pens ready. That was my very first van, and that in the top left corner is how much money I had. Not particularly impressive. And let me tell you, that was a really shit van. Window fitter by trade, started fitting one, fitting five. One customer turns into five, one window turns into five, five turns into 10, 10 turns into 20. And that's the organic way of growing a business. Get started, move on, new customers, new products, referrals, recommendations, growth. But what gets you in that van, fitting that window and that door, doesn't get you to the bigger jobs and the machinery and 3 vans and £500,000 contracts. It's a whole new level of thinking. It's a new set of rules. And that's what we're really going to look at today. That crappy little van got me into a 10,000 square foot factory, 20 staff, doing £3.5 million a year in annual revenue. And you might say that blue line looks nice and neat and tidy. For anybody that runs a business, that looked more like Spaghetti Junction. because the path is not linear. So the curve between, or the intersection of pressure and performance, as we add pressure to our lives, our businesses and ourselves, how do we perform under that new round, under these new cyclical growth patterns that we go through? And like I said, how your business is going to be a direct reflection of you. So we're going to cover that off now. So pens at the ready. This is one of my favourite philosophers, and I want you to write this down almost word for word. The crossroads in every business is when your own performance becomes the limit. What happens next depends on whether you build systems or you don't. So the crossroads in every business is when your own performance becomes the limit. This is when you can either carry on growing or hold yourself back. 10 points for anybody that can guess which great philosopher said that. Me. So this curve here, this is the human experience of what happens when the pressure mounts and how we perform. Pressure along the bottom, so we're going to gradually increase the pressure on ourselves, and we're going to see what happens to our performance. Right at the bottom of the curve, when there's no pressure on you, and you're not performing very well, how do we feel? A bit Netflix and biscuit day. We're bored. We're bored and we're not really performing. We're not doing anything. We're not making a difference. We're not making anything of value. It's just a bit, Give ourselves a little bit of a challenge. Some new pressure comes in, something new to try, some excitement. We can start performing a little bit, but we're still very much in our comfort zone. We can wake up in the morning and feel joyful and go to bed at night thinking everything's fine. Keep adding the pressure. We're going to find some green. We're going to find our high motivation. Wake up in the morning, the juices are flowing, the cogs are turning, we're excited, we're working hard, a little bit of weeds coming out, and we're ready to go. That is our peak performance. It does not get any better than that. 24 hours in the day, and our awake hours, we're going to be performing at the best of our ability. And that, roughly halfway, is how much pressure we can handle while we're doing it. What happens when you are performing really well, you've reached your capacity, your 12 hours a day of being at work and active is filled, and then something else lands on your lap? What's going to happen? We're going to start feeling a little bit of fatigue. Some cracks are going to show. We're going to start feeling a little bit more tired. Gets worse. Keep adding pressure. Keep trying to do stuff that you're underperforming on. Overwhelm. Has anybody felt overwhelmed before? Anyone like overwhelm? Good. No psychos in the room. Keep adding pressure, exhaustion, and we're back to bed, Netflix and biscuits, because we physically can't do anything else. We do not want this to happen. What we want to do is we want to stay at the top of this peak performance curve as much as possible, because we want to avoid anxiety and burnout. Now, anybody in this room that's a business owner, you've probably experienced all of this in the same day at some point. The key is noticing when it's happening and having a strategy in place of what to do about it. So we slip down the curve or we stay on top. That's the choice. We slip down the curve, fatigue turns to burnout. Do we want that? No. Days and weeks disappear. Wake up on a Monday, go to bed on a Friday and just think, what the hell has happened this week? What have I done? Have I made any progress or have I just been doing? It's difficult you couldn't even write down what you did in that week. Stress spills into home life. I'm sure we've all experienced that. Starts affecting relationships, starts affecting your health, starts affecting all of this kind of stuff. Now, if you guys are anything like me, the reason you start a business is for freedom of choice and health and happiness and money and all that kind of joyful stuff. What I didn't start a business to do is go home and be short and sharp with my wife because I've had a shit day. But I did, it happens. When you start noticing when you're slipping down the curve, though, you can control it, and we can maintain the relationships that we started the business for. Let's stay in the green. Consistent energy, happy, healthy, energised, a little bit of wee still coming out, and we're ready to go. Headspace, thinking, planning. Now that requires energy. That requires passion. And if you're knackered, you physically can't do it. Present family member, big one for me. And if I had longer today, I'd share many, many stories about this. But I don't, so ask me at lunch. And maintain those better health and relationships. So I mentioned that your business is going to be a direct reflection of you when it comes to this curve. So let's have a little look at what happens to your company. Same curve, pressure along the bottom, performance coming up. Who remembers starting their business? 2. Have you all got? Yeah, there we go. You're awake and you can remember stuff, fantastic. So when you first start your business and there's some ideas flowing around, we're at really low pressure. But we're also at really low performance because not a lot's happening. The outputs aren't great because they don't need to be. So we're in the startup phase. The startup phase is interesting. It's, the juices are flowing, the creativity is happening, but the business isn't feeling a lot of pressure. Once you start getting into momentum, and I showed you the pictures there, 1 window turns into 5, 5 turns into 10, 1 customer turns into 5, turns into 10. Whatever your business does turns into 5 whatever your business does is. Is that a word? And then 5 whatever your business does is turns into 10. And you're in momentum. And what happens then is that all systems go, cogs are turning, juice is flowing, growth mode. Excellent, let's carry this on. And what you're going to do, you're going to hit the top of this curve again. Because most people get to this point based on their own ability to go to work, their own hours in the day, their own levels of energy. But you and your business are completely separate entities. And if you don't detach from that, your business will start falling down the curve parallel to you. And it will start feeling strain and fatigue. What do I mean by that? A new lead comes into your business and it takes 24 hours for you to return a conversation to them. A strained and fatigued business, that slips from 24 to 48 hours. You sell your product or service, it takes you 3 days to deliver it. A strained and fatigued business goes to 7 to 8 days. Are you going to see the same amount of sales and referrals if your service is slipping? No. So what this is about, it's about recognizing when your business is at the top of this curve before it starts going downhill and putting in place a system to prevent that happening. What that will enable you to do is to carry on a growth and energy trajectory. Strain and fatigue leads into firefighting, wake up on a Monday, just do shit till Friday and go to bed wondering what the hell you've done, battling phone calls, suppliers, yada, 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 yada. You have no idea what you're doing, you're not really making any progress at that stage. Can anybody relate to that? It's a very, very uncomfortable scenario. And the business is underperforming a little bit by this stage. Firefighting leads to exhaustion. Exhaustion leads to anxiety and burnout again. It's a direct reflection. And I can hear you all shouting, Chris, that's great, but what do we do about it? Aren't you? We introduce systems to carry on running and growing the business before it gets to the point where it starts failing. This is a cycle as well. So what gets you from 0 to 100k in turnover? You'll achieve this point, and then you'll have to do something else to get you from 1 to 500k turnover. Then you'll have to do something else to get you from 500,000 to 1 million, and then from 1 to 2, and so on and so on and so on. So this is a cycle. This is a repetition. So it's understanding when it's happening and what to do about it. This is about reintroducing or growing the systems that enable you to maintain energy and growth. So what if you do, what if you don't? Guessing firefighting, reacting, Do we want to be proactive and leading, or do we want to be responding? No one? Proactivity. Whose business is this? Ours? Yeah? Do we want to lose money? No? If 24 hours is the time it takes to respond to a lead, to make a sale that's delivered in 3 days, that's what we want to do. We don't want to let it slip, because we'll be losing money, losing opportunities. You'll stay stuck in the business. You've probably all heard the saying, working in versus working on. We want to work on the business. We do not want to be in this firefighting mode. And you end up with compounding poor results. This is the silent stuff, the stuff that happens without you seeing it. You don't know you've lost that sale because you're so busy firefighting that you've missed that it's taken you longer to close a sale. So this is really important to recognise. Consistency and predictable outcomes are a result of systems and not people. If that's another thing that you write down today, make sure it's that. Consistency and predictable results are a result of systems and not people. I'm guessing everybody wants more financial security. When we've got better income, better revenues, we're protecting the profits. We can put more profits in the pockets and then empty them to our wives and kids. Well, that's what I do anyway. You own your business, not be owned. This is meant to serve your life. And your reputation and your results will multiply. Is that making sense, guys? Yeah? Is it helpful? Fantastic. A great philosopher also said, what? We'll have to wait and see. Step 1 of being a business owner is doing the work that needs doing. Is anybody in that phase? Show me your hand. Yeah? Step 2 of being a business owner is developing systems that get the work done for you. Is anybody in that stage? Yeah. Fantastic. Even if it's only a 50-50 split or a 70-30 split, we should be focusing on both of these things. Can anybody guess? 5 points this time. Who said that? You. There he is. I'll tell you, it's such a good philosopher. He's really said some interesting stuff. Bloody handsome as well, don't you think? So, what is a system? Is it an app? Is it a tool? Is it a website? Is it a platform? Is it a mechanical thing that I can touch and feel? Sometimes is the answer. I have a slightly different definition of what a system is. A system is simply a repeatable way of your business that achieves a predictable outcome. And that's it. The apps, the tools, the softwares, the spreadsheets, they are tools that help you develop your system. Now, for anybody in this room that's got a tech stack, you've probably got 7 or 8 different subscriptions and CRMs and ERPs and all of this stuff coming out your ears. You end up shoehorning your business into a platform or a tool that's designed by someone else. I like to reverse this. I like to design the system and then leverage the tool to help me implement it. Okay? So that's a slightly different way of thinking about it. But the end result is that your business does something in a way that gets a predictable result, whether you're the one doing the work or not. We've just explored what happens when ourselves as business owners, we reach the top of our performance curve. We can't do any more. We have to give things away. We have to delegate. We have to build a team. If we don't have systems, we rely on people, and people are notoriously chaotic, notoriously unreliable. They produce inconsistent results. Give a system of work that achieves a result to a person and train them on it, the result will be the same. So when we run our business on owner pressure, which is us doing everything based on our own level of performance and what we can do when we can do it, The whole thing, the whole enterprise, the safety, the security, the growth of the business is driven entirely by your own effort. And when we keep adding pressure, what happens? We've just seen that. So we're kind of setting ourselves up to take both ourselves and the business down a slippery slope. So we want to get driven by system power. Progress entirely depends on your energy. That's a bit of a trap. Does anybody make decisions based on emotions? Everyone? Don't be shy. Who would prefer to make decisions based on rules and data? Everybody. Everybody. Rules and data, we can prove what we're doing is working. Emotions, it's based on how we feel. Do we feel the same when we're tired as the same when we're energetic? So is that a good time to make decisions or a shit time? Shit time. Yeah? You're the bottleneck. Has anybody heard that saying before? If everything goes through you, growth stops with you. So if nothing else today, I just want you to start thinking differently about how, yes, you're your business's hero, but you might also be the one that's holding it back. So let's go to system power. Driven by process, I'm going to say some really boring words now. Driven by process and structure and... Does Jeff Bezos come to your house and deliver the parcels? Does Richard Branson fly the plane that you go on when you go on holiday? No? Do you need any more examples? They've designed the systems of which their businesses deliver. They're great leaders. They design the systems in which their people are trained. But their outcomes are the same every time. I see it 12 times a day at my house, thanks to my wife's ordering habits. We want to make consistent, repeatable progress. Now, this again is the stuff that you don't see. Respond to your leads on time, make your sales on time, do your deliveries on time. The stuff that comes as a result of that is referrals, is recommendation, is brand awareness and trust. This is what we want our successful business to feel like when everybody comes into contact with it. Rules and data, boring words. Why not? Have KPIs. Train teams on how you expect your business to run. You own it. Don't be shy. It's a slightly different way of thinking, but this is what's going to get you to that next level. You're in the driving seat. We said about firefighting, we said about reacting. You want to wake up on a Monday and know exactly what you, your business and your team need to achieve on a Friday, by a Friday, to achieve the result that you've prescribed. Very simple. This is the stuff that gets you from that little shitty van that I showed you to a factory. It's what gets you from one client to 100 and maintaining that level of service. Consistency, predictability, a result of systems. If I could show you a way that you can start to put systems into your business, would that be of interest to you? Yeah? So I'm going to do that in a minute. So anybody that's got an iPhone or whatever it is that we've got now, just make sure they're ready. That QR code will take you to a very, very simple to use worksheet that will ask you questions about your own business. When you ask these questions of yourself, it's stuff that you already know, but writing it down in a slightly different way is going to give you a slightly different perspective. You can rephrase. You'll be running to a system whether you know it or not. It's just whether you're in control or whether it's happening to you. You see that? When you download that worksheet, if it's confusing, drop me an email. It will come from my email address. And if enough people are interested in this room, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a 60-minute workshop at some point in the next couple of weeks. We're going to go through this in more detail live. And by the end of that 60 minutes, you'll all have built at least your first system into your business. And that's going to be completely free. When you grow a business, there's there's a number of different systems that you need to work on. And those systems have systems, and those systems have processes. The best way that I can describe the things that are really key to work on, and when Anne was talking about anagrams and getting that wrong, it's acronyms, I've got one of my own. iScale is mine. She also spoke really well about purpose and the problems that you solve for your customers. What you're doing by solving problems for your customers is making an impact in their lives. You're making an impact in your local area when you're hiring. You're making an impact in your family's lives when you're bringing money and security to them. When you know how to build systems to design and prescribe your impact, your job as a business owner is simply to scale it. So you're scaling the impact that your business makes. Very, very straightforward. Now, I'm not going to go through this in too much because I'm probably running out of time. Once you understand how to build systems for strategy, customer attraction, understanding your finances, how to leverage properly to give things out to freelancers, to staff, to teams, to tools, and you've built an exit or an evolution plan, you are going to have a business model that is going to take you to exactly where you desire it to be, which for most of you isn't going to be 60 hours a week of firefighting, or guessing, or burnout. Scale the impact that you once designed, and success is on the other side of that. Okay. Other than that, thank you very much. You've been a great audience. I hope that's really helped you, and I look forward to taking your questions later.